Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Huffman, and Vice Chair Henhouse is not in the room at the moment, and members of the committee. I'm Billy Atkinson from Hunt, Texas. I'm Chair of the Board of the Texas Public Finance Authority, and with me today is Lee Deviney, our Executive Director. I've served on the Authority Board since 2011 and as its Chair since 2013. Coincidentally, I also serve as Chair of the Texas Natural Gas Securitization Finance Corporation Board, which, pursuant to House Bill 1570 in the 87th Legislature, issued $3.5 billion of customer rate relief bonds to mitigate the immediate impact of Winter Storm Uri on gas utility customers. Thank you for the funding considerations included in Senate Bill 1 as introduced. I'll make a couple of quick comments about our agency's scope of activities, the budget request, and then I or my executive director can answer any questions you may have. I want to emphasize that our board's commitment to, continuing commitment to going to market, which is what we do. We go to market to secure the most effective public finance funding for 27 state agencies and other entities. We perform the following primary functions. Number one, debt issuance based on legislative authorization. Number two, we're responsible for refunding outstanding debt for debt service savings. 3, cost-effective commercial paper issuance. And 4, the administration of the Master Lease Purchase Program. And finally, 5, the timely and accurate payment of the bond debt service. Our responsibilities also include employment, development, and retention of staff to high levels of competencies. In recent years, our agency has completed 27 significant bond issues and other financing transactions. We've negotiated and executed financial instruments, liquidity agreements, and other bond-related contracts, and we currently administer 3 commercial paper financing programs. In addition to closing the project since 2014, our agency has proactively and independently executed refunding transactions that are now serving the state over about $116 million, primarily in general fund revenues. I want to thank the state leadership, the TPFA client agencies, and the TFC, which would include TFC, the Texas Southern University, TWIA, Health and Human Services, Department of Motor Vehicles for administrative projects, CPRIT and the Railroad Commission, and the constructive cooperation that each have provided to us, which has resulted in efficient and low-cost financing for important projects. And there are others that I didn't list. On behalf of you and the state, we are responsible for all compliance with the various markets, the SEC, the IRS, and the various markets which manage and control the issuance of debt securities in the public area. The TPFA board, the staff, and the board-selected legal and financial service providers must be sharp, they must be alert, and aware of the risks and hazards we face in each transaction. I like to say our underwriters have a party after these deals are closed. We just stay awake at night. Diligence, caution, and the use of resources, the willingness to confront issues head-on are an absolute must for our agency and our staff. Our board believes that such people qualities are consistent with your expectations for a market-facing central debt issuing agency. In addition to our agency mission, we take the budget process seriously, which is why we're here today. Our agency's budget consists of 2 components, as the LBB mentioned, the state general obligation bond debt service and our operating budget. While we're responsible for calculating and paying the state revenue bond debt service, those amounts are appropriated to our client agencies. State general obligation bond debt service is appropriated in an amount required to pay principal and interest on outstanding and projected bond issuance debt for the next biennium. Where those interest rates for the state biennium must be estimated, we collaborate with financial advisors, the Bond Review Board staff, and the LBB in estimating and setting that interest included in those appropriated amounts. Our agency operating budget's about 88% salary driven. Our board remains committed to support and retain our human resources to the highest levels of competency. And I might add that about almost half of our staff or retire, rehire, because they were so competent and capable, we needed them for transactions that we had to close. While we have a small staff of about 17 FTEs, these are high caliber performing people and must remain well-trained and focused. As such, they're critical to the responsibilities of the state central debt issuing agency as they help us mitigate transactional and regulatory market risk, which is critical to our board members. The 5% legislative salary increase for 24 and 25 was greatly appreciated to assist our agency in recruiting and retaining highly skilled financial professionals. We appreciate it. Our LAR request for 26-27 also includes a 5% merit pool, which is not included in Senate Bill 1, as was introduced earlier. The Board of Directors respectfully request that this critical item be considered as an exceptional item request with no general revenue impact in order to retain experienced staff and to respond to the anticipated market salary adjustments during 26-27 years. Our merit pools historically in the past have been about 3%. So it's about 2% more that we're asking, although the 5% was not in the budget this time. We've made good progress in bringing staff up towards market average salaries, and we don't want to slip back to the days where we had a lot of turnover and about 50% vacancies at times. The board also requests consideration for an adjustment to the exempt executive director's salary cap at the appropriate time. I never can get enough salary for our executive director. He's good. I rely on him. My board relies on him, and we're very appreciative that we have him on our staff. Finally, Rider 6 in Senate Bill 1 is introduced, includes a new provision requiring notification to the Legislative Budget Board prior to implementing salary increase expenditures from non-general revenue sources. The TPFA requests that the proposed provision not be included in Rider 6 because implementation of the notification requirement would impair our ability to negotiate and make tactical salary adjustments in a highly competitive market for individuals having municipal finance knowledge and skills. Quite frankly, if we get a counter offer from someone, we can't go through a 30-day LBB approval process. I'm hoping that we're not in a penalty box for anything, but maybe that rider was inserted unintentionally in our case. Finally, we've requested LBB to make technical corrections to restore our authority to appropriate unexpended balances during the second year in order to pay bond debt service, and to perform critical administrative functions, and Lee can explain that later. As I mentioned earlier, as required by House Bill 1520, legislature created a special purpose entity that we named the Texas Natural Gas Securitization and Finance Corporation, which issued revenue bonds in March of 23 to securitize about $3.5 billion in extraordinary gas costs during Winter Storm Uri in 2021. The bond issue requires considerable ongoing administration and coordination among the many involved parties. I'm pleased to report that the gas collections, the customer rate true-up process, and ongoing bond payment and related functions are proceeding according to plan and contractual requirements. As you recall, that was a complicated debt issuance process that we had to work carefully with the Railroad Commission on, as well as the industry gas companies. The administration of the corporation's bond program will continue to receive the corporation board members' time and attention, as well as the resourceful TPA staff. In closing, I'd say all of our TPFA exceptional items are identified in the presentation materials provided to you follow our board's thoughts of concern and our respective requests for your consideration. Appreciate your help throughout the year, throughout the biennium, and as well as the governor, lieutenant governor, and the comptroller and the attorney general's office, who we work closely with each of them and their staff. I'm pleased to answer any questions together with our executive director, Lee DeVinny. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. We have no questions. Thank you very much for being here. Yes?
I have a quick question on the chart here, just for understanding. When y'all on page 8 talk about local government debt issued, Define local debt for me. Local government, does that include school districts or is it only cities and counties?
No.
Senator,
You need to move the mic.
the document that you're looking at, we don't have in front of us,
Okay.
so I can't respond to that question.
I'll get with LBB and others to try
Okay.
to get definition on that, just to understand, where we rank third in the nation on debt. It's not really driven by the state debt, it's more driven by the local debt. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Senator Kokos, I noticed on those charts that when you look, if you're just looking at state debt, then we're 7th in the 10th most
Right.
populous state. So that's quite a bit of difference.
Yeah, the
Here from
li-
3rd to 7th.
The lion's share of that debt is, I see some nodding heads out here, is local. And I just want the definition of local. Is that our municipalities? Is that county? And then included in school districts? And then, of course, we have all the special utility districts, which I would wonder if that is also included.
There is a great chart on that. I don't know where I saw it. I think from LBB presentations doing BORs. We'll try to get that for you. LBB, y'all remember what I'm talking about? Yeah.
And
There's
the
one that
definition of what
Yes.
government is defined at, local government is defined as traditional. Does that include
Yes.
schools and
There's
all
a
of the
great
special
one out there,
utility?
'cause they've
Thank
done
you.
it. Yeah.
Will you get that to me, Julie?
Okay. Thank you. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. No more questions.
Thank you.
All right. We'll move on to the Bond Review Board. KJ Curtis, you'll do the LBB.